what departments we have to run.
Yeah, it's one of the blue ones. No, I'd ask to be sure.
Yeah. No.
Blues too, no? I don't know which ones are the readers. And what I have to make
No, because it will be, when you get to enter your actual report or to this section, it will already be fixed up for you. So the first action you take when you get on the agenda, that's the action that clears out this thing and puts you in the.
And am I doing it or are you?
Do you want me to lead you through? I'm happy to do
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make a motion to amend, and then is that where I read it? So just make a motion to amend. Read, right?
Item 11. Oh, I see.
The regular monthly board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District Board of Directors on Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 is now called to order. Can everybody please rise for the flag salute? I
Pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Mr. Cephas?
Here.
Mrs. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Fitzko?
Here.
Mr. Keeber?
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Zaki?
Here.
Mrs. Ramasco?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And the sunshine law, please?
Board of School Directors held an executive session on Wednesday, June 21st to discuss personnel matters, litigation, or threat and litigation matters.
Thank you. Any correspondence this evening?
No correspondence.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of Wednesday, May 10th, meet and discuss voting and non-voting meeting, and Wednesday, May 17th, board meeting?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report dated May 2023?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And are there any amendments to the agenda this evening?
Madam Chairwoman, I do have an amendment. That amendment is to the finance and budget in building and grounds on page 7, number 11. That amendment should read as follows. It's recommended to approve a contract between ADC Transit, Inc., beginning July 1st, 2023, pursuant to terms and conditions as negotiated, subject to final solicitor review and revision.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Do I have a second? Was that a motion?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Are there any other amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President. On page 11,
Under Personnel and Salary Schedule and Labor Relations, we will be adding a number 19. It is a resignation and will read as follows. It is recommended to approve the resignation of Catherine Couch from her position as the Ambridge Area High School Guidance Counselor, effective June 21st, 2023, with regret. The district reserves the right to retain the employee for the 60-day statutory period or until relieved of duties, whichever occurs first. And with that, it's a motion to add it to the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we are going to move on to recognition and presentations. If we could all head down to the floor.
The shutter is bad, but I can see the labels. You can? I can't. Without the glasses, it's a joke. It's too dark up here.
Oh, thanks, Kathy. Good evening. Okay. Tonight, we would like to recognize the 2022-2023 retirees from the Ambridge Area School District. We're going to honor our lovely young lady who's here tonight first, and then I'll go down the rest of the way. Debbie Angus, paraprofessional, 23 years of service. Good, am I wrong? Okay. Would you like to come down? Come on down. Shake everyone's hand and then stick around for a photo. Our other retirees, Teresa Brewer, teacher, 20 years of service. Karen DeMarco, teacher, 28 years of service. Jane Gatos, custodian, 13 years of service. Michael Grasinick, maintenance, 5 years of service. Betty Jean Orlowski, janitor, custodian, 18 years of service. Charles Price, teacher, 33 years of service. Meg Raybold, secretary, 8 years of service. Natalie Simonik, 14 years of service. Amy Sipes, secretary, 5 years of service. Thank you to all of those that have worked so hard for our district. Front and middle, we'll take a picture. Congratulations again. Next, we're going to move on to Principal of the Year, Mrs. Joanne Hoover, Principal of State Street Elementary School. Please help me in congratulating Mrs. Hoover, Principal of State Street Elementary, on her well-deserved recognition of Principal of the Year by the Educational Partnership. Her outstanding leadership, dedication, and impact to the educational community have set an inspiring example for all. Thank you for all your unwavering commitment to fostering excellence, positively shaping the lives of our students, parents, and staff members. Congratulations. Congratulations, Joanne. You're welcome. Would you like to say a few words? No? She said absolutely not.
No, I'd like to say thanks to everyone who had voted. Hi, didn't see you there, I'm sorry. I'd like to thank everyone for voting in regards to this. It's a good promo for State Street Elementary School, but also Ambridge Area School District. Gotten a lot of calls already from different people asking about Ambridge and talking about Ambridge and seeing what Ambridge is all about. So this is all good stuff and very, very positive. So thank all of you for that, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do. Thank you, Joanne. All right, next we're going to move on to Students of the Month. As I call your name, come on down front, shake the board's hand, but do not leave. Stay up here with me. All right, Students of the Month, Middle School May Students of the Month. Loriah Bacon, 6th grade. Garrett Rico, 7th grade. Sierra Tyson, 8th grade. Mr. Cephas was making sure you didn't miss that one. From Economy Elementary, May Student of the Month, Garen Tierney, 3rd grade. State Street Elementary, May Student of the Month, Tyler Cook, 4th grade. Congratulations to all the students of the month for May. Congratulations. 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 All right, if you guys want to come stand right here for a photo. Congratulations.
All right.
I'll switch this one to the wrong.
Okay. Our employee of the month for the middle school is Jen Scaletta, the guidance counselor. Jen, I don't believe is here tonight, but if you know Jen, she knows every one of the students. She knows everything about them. She's committed, brings in a lot of community resources. The school wouldn't run without Jen Scaletta. So I just want to give her an applause. All right, the next employee of the month is Economy Elementary for Jacqueline Koski. Is she here? Oh, good. Thank you. Come up here and we'll go through there. So Ms. Koski is extremely dedicated to her students. She works tirelessly every day, lesson planning, making sure the students get what they need. She goes above and beyond for all the students, and we couldn't do every day without her at Economy. Ms. Gillis has asked me to share those sentiments, and we thank you. Yeah.
You want to do?
No, you don't get to dodge the picture. We have a picture.
The State Street May Employee of the Month is Mr. Rob Barr. Mr. Barr is the State Street Elementary School cafeteria monitor. Mr. Barr comes to State Street daily with a smile on his face, which is pleasant for everyone. As a cafeteria monitor, he monitors students and their behaviors during meals in the lunchroom. He assists with the flow of the meal service and keeps the cafeteria neat and clean. Mr. Barr is very well liked by students and staff. He's very kind and has a calm demeanor, and he can easily calm any situation. Mr. Barr brings many attributes to our State Street family. He is a positive role model. He enjoys working with the students. He keeps mealtime calm and pleasant. He's a team player. He praises students when they are doing well, listens to the students when they need someone to just listen and hear what they're saying. And he's very, extremely patient. State Street Elementary School is very lucky to have Mr. Rob Barr working with the students and staff. Congratulations to Mr. Rob Barr for the May 2023 Employee of the Month. Thank you.
Congratulations to everyone. That concludes our Employees of the Month and student recognition. There's a reason. I'll give you mine.
We haven't heard from her, did she? Don't have-
At this time, district residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the residents' comments or questions or at the conclusion of the meeting. There will also be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Okay. Under committee reports, education and technology, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Zacchi.
Thank you, Madam President. Under education and technology, I should read number 4.
Yes, please.
Sure. Number 4 is new and has been added since last week's reading of the agenda. Number 4, mental health support. It is recommended to approve a contract between the Ambridge Area School District and the Prevention Network for 5 days a week at the high school, 2 days a week at the middle school and 1 day a week at each elementary school for the 2023-24 school year to provide mental health support at a cost of $92,400. This funding is secured by the ESSERS A TSI 7% set aside grant and the BCBH SEL grant. Was there any discussion on number 4? And with that, I will make a motion to accept items 1 through 16.
Do we have a second? Second. Any board discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Cephas?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Keeber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zauchi?
Yes.
Mrs. Romasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under Finance and Budget and Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Keeber.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd like to read a number of the changes, number 9 and 10 specifically. Electronics recycling, it's recommended to ratify Evolution E-Cycling LLC to pick up television recycling and printer recycling from storage at Ridge Road at a total cost of $39.65. Number 10, tax exoneration. It's recommended to approve a tax exoneration regarding the collection of real estate tax for 2020 to present conditioned upon mutual municipal and county reciprocal exonerations for the same years relevant to the following property as listed under A and purchased by Thomas Fedorko. And with those changes, I would like to move to approve items 1 through 11
As amended.
as amended.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any board discussion?
I just have a question. Just in conjunction with number 9, is there much more expected costs with selling Ridge Road? You know, what we have been storing there? I know this is kind of last minute and obviously needed with televisions, but.
So yeah, this was ratifying what had been moved out of certain areas, as you might recall from the agreement to give the individual who's planning on purchasing, who's currently renting it, space to operate the business. Should it seems like we're nearing closer and closer to the sale of the property, then there will be some given time for us to transition, which will probably constitute discussions on storage, which, you know, we have had minimal conversation about, but things, whether that is a pool building built somewhere at a cost, or we look at some other spaces, those types of things. So there may be additional cost in removing certain products that you have to dispose of them in an appropriate way. I don't anticipate major ones. I think the major cost left will be probably the building or the storage unit that we would build or have built.
Any other discussion? Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Cephas?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Keeber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zauchi?
Yes.
Mrs. Romasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call up to the microphone, if we could, Mr. Silverman from ABC Transit. Welcome him and congratulate him on the contract that was awarded him for transportation services for the Ambridge Area School District. Can we just take a moment to introduce yourself and any words you may have?
Kathy, you might need your mic. Oh, that one's still.
There you go.
Just teased.
No, it's good.
No, it's working.
It's
Oh,
working.
now.
Sorry.
Hello, my name's Aaron Silverman, owner and president of ABC Transit. I've been in the transportation industry for 22 years and actually started as a mechanic while I was in college and worked my way up for another school bus company, and I started ABC Transit 10 years ago, and we got quite a few school districts in Allegheny County and now 2 in Beaver County, and couldn't be more excited. great group of people, unbelievable facility you guys have here. It's just incredible. We're really looking forward to working with everyone. Something that we specialize in is efficiencies, technology, and the best drivers and equipment in the industry. I'm also looking forward to meeting everyone, including offering jobs and sign-on bonuses to any of the current bus and van drivers. Although we have a lot to do in a very short amount of time, we strive to make each day better, better than the last. The one thing I can guarantee you that I'm much better at school transportation than public speaking. Ever since fourth grade, I can't really get that nervousness out of me. So, but I thank you so much for the opportunity, and we won't disappoint.
We're looking
Thank you
forward to
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
And thank you to you and Dr. Pascarilla for working so hard on this agreement, and the solicitors as well.
Under Athletics and Public Relations, Mr. Zachi and Ms. Fitzko.
I'll take this one. For point of information, youth sports facility rental. Would you like me to stop there? We can discuss it.
Yeah, so we're just going to have a discussion related to. Oh, can't hear?
Pull it closer.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Use your mom voice.
I can use my mom voice.
Under athletics and public relations, we have point of information, youth sports facility rental. This is a discussion that the board wanted to have in the public. Who would like to start? Mr. Cephas?
Yeah, thank you. Last week I stood in front of the board proposing that we have the youth sports facilities be covered by the district. And, you know, the administration went to work and got over details financially to try to pull, you know, what is the cost associated with that. Based on the documentation that I was presented, more so specifically for football, and those figures are public, right? We can say what those figures are, what those costs.
Yeah.
So what the average cost was? Oh, okay, cool. So the average cost over, I believe it was the last 10 years for youth football, but I'm asking for all youth sports to be blunt here. But for football specifically, it's about $2,200 average over the years. And that's a tremendous assistance for youth football, particularly just due to the shortage of funds being raised right now in the community and just the general public of the lack of fundraising results, just due to inflation and other things that families are experiencing. So I just brought that to the board to see if they can help.
Anybody have any comments?
I just think it would be a better discussion to work on looking at the policy, see who falls under which category. I know there's different categories, and coming up with possibly a better solution. Talking to maybe football, talking to the other organizations about fundraising, see what's there, and coming to a solution with the policy and moving on from there.
So if it's okay, I'm going to make a suggestion, Mr. Cephas. You can let me know if this will work for you. But Mr. Cephas, could you meet with either Mrs. Kehoe or Mrs. Fisher, and then one of the two of them, and then also either Mr. Zachi or Ms. Fitzko, since they're athletics and PR, Mrs. Kehoe and Mrs. Fisher are policy, to try to take a look at all that and maybe bring a recommendation to us in July?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
For us to vote on in July.
To vote on into July. Was there any information since the last meeting that you guys did not receive to come to some sort of conclusion sooner than July? What pieces of information, just to be specific, that we're lacking in the moment?
I didn't really have a good chance to look at. I know, Mrs. Smith, you had something that maybe we could sit down and discuss in regards to how much each group was paying.
Yeah, so I had asked, well, first of all, the policy, I think, was sent to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe the youth organizations go, they would be considered a class 2
If they're nonprofit, yes.
if they hold a nonprofit status.
Which I believe they do, right, Mr. Cephas?
I'm sorry.
Nonprofit status.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
So that organization and potentially others. Because it is hosted, it's our students
Yes, ma'am.
using our facilities on a weekend.
Yes.
So that's why we're incurring costs at all, because during the week, there is actually maintenance and custodial already on. So it's because of the weekend that it's an issue, right? That there's a fee at all? Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what I thought I heard last week.
Okay, so you had mentioned to me, you were looking at some invoices from last year and looking at the facility, the fee schedule. I'm not sure how they were charging you those amounts last year, but I'm not a financial advisor and I don't work here. So you wouldn't need the lights during a daytime event, so I would hope that you weren't charged $100 a game for lights.
I haven't seen an itemized invoice that came to that conclusion. I wasn't, on the board last year, just based on past treasurers' recollection. It was just more so for janitorial services, and that was the cost that was charged to us at the end
So
of the year. That was
probably
it.
custodial overtime. Did you get to see something tangible?
From the district?
No, from your organization.
No, I haven't seen anything.
So it was
Tangible.
just someone saying we get
The,
charged at least 500 a game?
from our now secretary was the last year's treasurer.
Gotcha.
And she's the one who paid and had the documents to represent, what we paid last year. And that information conveyed to me and also confirmed by the administration that $500 was what was charged. That's the check that was cut.
Okay. Well, I mean, the little bit of information that I just asked for kind of late this afternoon, I'm happy to share it. I can forward it on. It is the fee schedule. I remember this from years ago. I believe I was on the board the first time when this was kind of implemented. I'm happy to share it with you guys if you do plan to have some type of meeting. I'm not sure how they're coming up with those prices from last year. I would actually like to see some tangible bill or invoice from the district. So we can compare.
I'm sure that there was I'm sure there was an invoice from, that the organizations got.
Sure.
But if we're going to sit down and look at that, then you have to look at every organization
I
that
agree.
paid.
Correct.
And the reason I'm going to tell you right now, probably because the custodial rates were higher, is because it is on a weekend, the custodians are getting overtime.
It's overtime.
And I know this because my grandson played Little Bridgers football.
Mhm.
There's 4 games that occur during Saturday and Sunday when they play.
Saturday or
Saturday
Sunday.
or Sunday, but when they play, but it's like all day.
So do they still have a midget group?
No,
That's the name of the team?
no.
Okay, but in the past, there have been 4,
Sure. So
Is
now
it
there's
the
3.
twerps.
Just 3.
the
Twerps, termites, mites.
Mites, and
There you
then
go.
there was
Yeah.
one more. There was always 4.
Yeah, I thought I
But-
should clarify
And,
because.
and if it goes all day, so I'm sure, on overtime, and there's probably 2,
Sure.
I would imagine, then it probably accumulated fairly quickly.
Well, I do agree. I think if we revisit this, then we have to do it fairly across the board, because not only are there youth organizations, nonprofits and not, there are plenty of school district organizations that support our varsity athletes that are now nonprofits. Some are not. We should constitute from the same advantages then. So
What I'm
this
saying is
could
we
potentially
need-
snowball.
We need to see all of it
Yes.
before we make a decision on that.
Sure.
But that was requested since my request last week. I'm not sure what pieces of information you guys are waiting on that haven't been supplied already. Because I received.
We were only given football.
You're right.
Right.
We didn't get cheerleading, volleyball.
We didn't get any of the others.
Sure.
That's what we were still waiting on. I don't want to speak for them to know that's what they're still waiting for.
So
Just to be fair to
I
everybody.
think it's more
Sure,
to find
sure.
a way to, if everybody wishes, to rewrite the policy or make changes to the policy in such a way that it affects the entire district rather than, and I know that's not what you were asking for, Mr. Zeebus, you were asking for all of the youth sports for sure.
Right.
But, you know, there is a snowball approach to that. Eventually, you know, it's going to trickle down to other. So is there anything that anybody would like to, besides that actual fee agreement, which we can get sent out easily, anything anybody else would like to have in hand before we vote on this in July? Obviously, we're doing it as a committee work, so, you know, the committee will know more than we do, but.
Since it's our committee, we would like to see any other organizations that this is affected, because if you look at the policy, it was last revised in 2019.
Mhm.
So obviously, we would be looking from that date coming forward to see.
Including class 4 outside of
Well,
the
we
district
think, we
organizations?
would like to see
Okay,
all of it.
okay,
If that's it.
can we do that?
Well, and this isn't really about the policy, but I wanted to say this.
Okay.
Don't cancel your football games.
Right.
Plan, schedule your home games. I'm sure the district, no matter what happens, can work with you on a payment plan. There could be extra parents that could potentially help fundraise. I mean, there are tons of fundraising opportunities. Lots of organizations are bending over backwards to do them. You know, I just don't cancel your football games.
How many games again? I'm sorry, refresh my memory.
Yeah, 4 home games, 4 away games.
Okay, so 4 home games.
For
Yeah,
free.
on average, and if the determination is to say, okay, for all sports, you need more information for all sports, I do understand that. But I will ask, is there any way, since you do have information pertaining to football particularly, to have a determination on football here today, pending further information for the other sports? Because, and I say that because the same request was put in last week. Again, I don't know how many more weeks will go by in order for us to get this information. And football season is approaching. And again, there may be other sports approaching as well, but I only can speak from that point of view. But I just don't know what the urgency level is at the moment, because we're talking about the same things from last week.
And I'll just add on the legal side, so under the Sunshine Law, this was listed on the agenda as a point of information and a discussion item. It does have economic consequences, and so I don't believe it's appropriate to amend the agenda to add it as an action item now.
But Tom, we'll work on, I mean, we're happy to, I think the whole board is to look at everything.
Sure.
We just need, I would feel more comfortable, I think probably everybody else too, we need more information for everybody else too. But I did want to ask, do you have somebody in charge, do you have anybody that's specific, like any parents that would specifically fund, like head or chair fundraising for you?
We have new representatives just getting off the ground this year.
Okay.
And just really getting started. Cheers under the football organization this year as well. That's new.
Okay.
So a lot of parents that represents cheer within football
Okay.
is new. So that's what we're experiencing.
Do you guys, and this is,
No, great
it's been a
question.
long time since I have been in youth. I did a lot years ago, not recently. Do you guys like, especially like up before your season, like the few months before, do you like have it, will you have a meeting? Like, do you have a meeting to gather your parents to say, hey, we need to fundraise?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the most recent one was when we had the public camp right there, football camp right there in the high school. What was it, I want to say May 8th through the 10th or 11th?
Okay.
We had cheer and football parents together. We rolled out SNAP fundraising. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but we rolled that out as a form of fundraising. Tip boards. I mean, your typical things. And if we didn't need the money, I just want to make it clear, we wouldn't be asking. It's football today, but it'll be other youth organizations later, and that's where the urgency really just comes in, because you potentially could have other folks here asking the district for help. That's what it comes down to. So, yeah.
I mean, could we agree, as Kelly like mentioned, to say, just so we have time to review everything, to give, before decisions made, to give them time to, you guys time to pay the bill, if that's, I don't know that that'll be the decision, but
Sure.
Just to agree at least to that today, that we could give additional time, I know we're not there yet, but I mean, he's saying they're having a difficult time struggling for money. I'm just asking as a board if we could give additional time if they have an invoice that they can't.
And again, I'm
Yeah,
speaking from a
right, right.
football perspective. Other youth sport figureheads may be out there that may even thought it was a possibility, or even a hope that the district will help. So, for those who are here or those who may be watching, hey, just come and ask. Like, the worst thing that can happen is no, right? So you just don't know until then. But waiting until July is not an issue. I just hope, and I ask, my fellow board directors, like, let's not have this conversation in July. Let's have result-oriented, information pointed conversations so we can move forward, move past this. And if it's a no, great, let us move on and figure things out. But if it's a yes, hallelujah, and let's go that route.
We can get with.
Well, as
Kelly
far
to
as
talk
that
about
meeting that happened at football camp, since I'm a cheer parent, it was really one fundraiser, and that was just the SNAP fundraiser that didn't start for another month. There was a lot of confusion around that. I know Teresa is now starting to put together some fundraising things as far as to raise money for these. I don't think that the football and cheer board have had an open meeting.
So that would be that would be my first suggestion, to say that would be your first step, I think, just to get the ball rolling. If you could get both organizations.
The camp, and I don't completely disagree with Ms. Amy over there was saying, but the football camp was the very first open meeting led by Shane Deadlock. So
Shane's the president.
Shane is the president, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, there hasn't been one since.
Just to start, that would be, you've done probably a million fundraisers.
Right. I was PTO president for
Right.
a while.
Just to get the ball rolling for you
Sure.
guys too. But
Sure.
we'll get with Mrs. Ramasco and work on policy on our end and get more information if we, unfortunately, Beth Ann, I'm sorry that gives you a little extra work for you to prepare some things for us, but if we could, that would be.
I already have the 2 years, so I just have to go back to
Okay,
2019. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
When do we typically invoice? Like, would it be per game, do you think, or would it be at the end of the season?
It was done 2 different ways.
Okay.
One was done per game.
Okay.
And so we had 4 different invoices for that year. And then the other one, they were listed, each game was listed on one invoice with the hours that the custodians had worked.
Okay.
I'm talking primarily about the football.
So maybe that's something that we can talk about within that committee?
Yep.
Is how it's invoiced and how it's
And
paid?
partner with athletics and.
Sure.
Yes. If, can I make the request, if she could send it to Mr. Zachi and Mrs. Kehoe, myself, and Ms. Fitzko?
Yep. And then,
Great, and then we'll work on it from there.
if you are all okay, obviously, Mr. Cephas, I'm sure would like to be included, so maybe
Oh, whatever.
go back and somehow, because we
Yeah.
can't have more than 4, we'll have some sort of representative of 4. And then once you have a suggestion, can we have that sent out to the board to look at beforehand? So that
Absolutely.
everybody can review it and ask questions if need be.
We need to meet, which,
Anything else?
Yeah, I have one other, just clarification. On the custodial maintenance fees, that's a moving target, correct? Because those guys all have different hourly rates,
Correct.
and it all depends on who works or who signs up.
That's
oh, yeah, that's
So
good
if a more
point.
tenured
That's a
person
good point.
works, obviously that bill's going to be a little bit higher. If somebody with lesser seniority works, that bill's going to be lower. Now, it's overtime pay, but it's
Yeah.
still based on their hourly rate, correct?
Yes, and we do have a structure where you must call the senior
Right,
people
right.
first and offer overtime to the senior custodians first. So that would be top
Right.
of those.
But it is all based on hourly rate
Mhm.
and overtime rate. Okay, thank you.
Could you send that to us too, Beth Ann, like a range? Please, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to ask something of the board too. Sorry. If anybody has any other, once we send that out, if we can have that, I have a copy that I can send it to you all, but the fee schedule. If anybody has any other suggestions or input on that specific policy, if we could send it to, I guess, just you two for now, and then you
Then
can
we'll
share it
share,
with the
we'll
committee.
share.
Yep. That would be great. Just to review the entire thing rather than just reviewing the one piece of it. I think that would be helpful. So we have a full updated policy. Okay. And then you have one.
Library contributions, I move to adopt number 1 as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any board discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Cephas?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitco?
Yes.
Mr. Keeber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zachary?
I'm voting no, even though I'm on the Laughlin Memorial Library Board. And that is due partly because the fees are even at $6,000 apiece. And the idea of last week's discussion was to make sure Ambridge was higher than Baden due to the demographics of each library. Up until I think this vote here, Ambridge has always received more because their area is bigger, their census is bigger, and it's just how it should be divvied up more for them because they offer more people versus Baden.
I'm a no also, due to the amounts. I believe that it should be higher as well. Okay. Steering and Rules and Legislative, Mrs. Kehoe, Mrs. Fisher.
We have no voting items this evening.
Thank you. Under Personnel and Salary Schedule and Labor Relations, Mr. Smith and Mr. Cephas and Mrs. Smith.
Shall I? Or you?
Could always split it.
Mr. Cephas, let's split it.
Okay.
It's a big one. Let's split it.
Okay.
All right. So the new items that are new since last week will be number 5. It is a resignation. It is recommended to approve the resignation of Kara Lilly from her position as the middle school ELA teacher, all grade levels, effective June 16th, 2023, with regret. The district reserves the right to retain the employee for 60 days, the statutory period, or until relieved of duties, whichever occurs first. Number 6 is a retirement. It is recommended to approve, well, is it a retirement or a resignation? Due to retirement. Got it, thank you. It is recommended to approve the resignation due to the retirement of Rebecca Mills from her position as a special education secretary, effective June 18th, 2023, with regret. Turning to page 10, number 14 is an addition. It is recommended to approve a 5-year collective bargaining agreement between the Ambridge Area School District and the local 248 Ambridge Area School employees. And number 15 is a professional employee. It is recommended to approve Madison Hiltz as a Highland Elementary School emotional support teacher, all grade levels, at a salary of $47,871, which is step 1 to bachelor's. Effective August 21st, 2023, as per the terms of the Ambridge Area Education Association agreement, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current and former employers to Act 168 screening and PDE certifications if applicable. Number 16.
Would you like Mr. Cephas?
Oh, sure.
Why stop her?
Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Cephas.
I'll take it from here. Thank you, Kelly. So 16, professional employee. It's recommended to approve Brittany Craft as middle school learning and emotional support teacher at a salary of $48,781, step 1 master's, effective August 21st, 2023, as per terms of the Ambridge Area Education Association agreement, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employee to Act 168 screening and PDE certification if applicable. 17, it's recommended to approve Scott Douglas as Ambridge Area High School, Ambridge Area High School, Ambridge Area Middle School, all grade levels, and all elementary school STEAM teachers at a salary of $48,301, effective August 21st, 2023, as per the terms of the Ambridge Area Education Association agreement, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers to Act 168 screening and PDE certification if applicable. 18, credit recovery. It's recommended to ratify the following teacher as instructors for the credit recovery program at the Ambridge Area High School. Teachers will be paid as per the collective bargaining agreement. Aaron Heen, science, and Terry Moon, science. Something I'm supposed to say after that, isn't it?
I think we already added number 19, so you, right?
Yeah, and then with that, I'll make a motion to accept items 1 through 19 this evening as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And I'll just make a note that item number 14 will be subject to solicitor review, just of a final document to ensure that incorporation of all the comments have been made.
Thank you.
We need that amended to make sure it says that.
I think we can make that
Because
notation.
that should say.
Any board discussion on any of those items? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Cephas?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fusco?
Yes.
Mr. Kamer?
Yes to all except number 12. I abstain on number 12. My wife is listed.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zaki?
Yes.
Mrs. Romasco?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. I do not have anything for this evening. Solicitor Turnbull?
I'll just note, this evening you had an action item relating to transportation. Up until recently, you had a different transportation provider. That transportation provider advised the district that they were no longer operating as a business effective sometime in July. And so that is what prompted this other action this evening. And the district will kind of review that and any related legal matters. But we do welcome and thank ABC and hope to have that finalized agreement very shortly for you.
Thank you. Dr. Pascarelli?
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the students and employees who came as the students of the month and employees of the month. Thank them for their extra efforts throughout the end of the school year and let them know that we appreciate all the work that they're doing. I'd also like to congratulate Mrs. Angus, who was here with us today as the paraprofessional, and all the other retirees listed there for their years of service here for Ambridge Area School District, making a difference in our children's lives each and every day. We greatly appreciate that. I'd like to congratulate again Mrs. Hoover on the Principal of the Year. Very proud of her work and appreciate all of her extra efforts that go into her daily work. That's very important. I'd like to thank ABC Transit for coming to terms with us and being willing to transport us. I know we have some work to do here before next school year, but I'd like to thank them for their abilities and their providing us the opportunity to work with them. I'm looking forward to a long relationship and a good start to the fall. And would like to also make sure that I thank Ms. Eve for her work on the budget and a variety of other items. I know she's been working diligently along with the rest of the administration as we close up this year and start to next year. Finally, I want to make sure that I do mention and congratulate the committee and negotiation team from the custodial maintenance contract. Some nice highlights in there that I think that are going to benefit some of the employees, trying to increase some of the starting wages and those types of things. Really appreciate all the work that they have done. And, you know, it was a good, solid negotiation. We were able to do it within the time limits before the other one expired, which is always a positive. So I'd like to thank that team for their work as well, and the board for approving that. That concludes. I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Concludes my report.
Thank you.
Real fast, Mrs. Ramasco. Don't forget the summer lunch program. They're serving hot lunches in the cafeteria every day, starting at 11. Monday through Thursday for everyone, for all students, or all children under the age of 18. You do not have to be an Ambridge student. Just wanted to pass that along.
11 to 1, correct? Goes until 1, I believe.
I believe.
Yes, thank you.
Thursday.
It is now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. Hello.
Randy, just make sure that mic's working.
Most of you already know who I am, Randy Dawson from 219 Locust Street in Ambridge. Just want to share some information to you, Madam President and Mr. Cephas, from my perspective as the booster president for the Ambridge Area Band. So we have asked the district in the past to rent facilities with this whole big discussion about the facilities. So we were told that we had to submit a facility request form. When that facility request form was submitted, we were given the price sheet that you folks were talking about. In that price sheet, told us if we wanted something on the weekend, and that's one of the days we were specifically looking at using, one specific Saturday was going to cost us almost $300 to rent the facility. And it involved the cafeteria and the cleaning of the cafeteria and the custodial staff and all of those. We chose not to do it due to that cost. So this will have a rippling effect to all the other organizations, being that we're a 501c3 nonprofit also. So just to add that to that. The other thing that I would like to add, if we're going to open up and look at policies, why does an organization such as band boosters, such as cheer boosters, such as whatever boosters that uses a district facility to meet in? So when we have our band booster meetings in the district facility, we're required to give you a copy of our policy from our insurance agency of liability. I don't understand that when the facilities are actually, I hate to say this, community facilities that the taxpayers are paying, where all the students are going and we're using, and you folks have authorized, such as band boosters, as a organizational branch of the district.
So is that all of your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to your first question, thank you for bringing that up, because those are some things that we have been discussing, that there's other organizations that it does impact, and that, you know, we may not, what Beth Ann is, or Ms. Ike is able to find out in the spreadsheets and everything is not necessarily the full picture, because
We didn't do it, that's why she didn't see it.
correct. And there's plenty of people that probably chose not to do it because of the fee. Right. So thank you for that. And that's something, if you
We'll
don't
work
mind,
on it.
you can think about.
Yes.
I don't know, I mean, there's not going to be valid numbers and data for that, but we can definitely think about all the organizations that could be affected. We could think about that.
I do, piggybacking off of Randy. So from an insurance standpoint, Dr. Pastorell, I don't know, maybe you
That's what
can
I was
answer.
going to ask him to, yeah, go ahead.
For a booster meeting, we are requiring that they have to show, because usage of facilities, like they have to show that additional insurance because they're using space in the building.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to talk to, I'm going to give you the generic answer that I anticipate. I'm not trying to dodge the question, but we would have to call the insurance vendor to find out for sure. But usually what happens when you look at any type of policy, they look at everything that's going to be naturally covered. And it seems like to you that organizations outside would be covered, but many of these organizations wouldn't be covered underneath that. And if they assume that, I don't know what the cost would increase to start saying, okay, yeah, we are going to cover booster groups. It may not cost that much to have that meeting to add it, but I don't know how many groups would be coming in to have that meeting and use the facility for that. There's probably less liability in and around there, but it's still another meeting that would come in. So, I mean, I think I took a note down. I'm sure Scythe did as well. We could ask the insurance company if that's what comes from what the board is looking for these different costs. But I do know, generally speaking, the more things you add and the more events you have, I think it's going to cost more to have people come in just for risk factors. And I can't promise that I have the formula, or right now I'm ready to speak to the formula on low risk events like, okay, we're having a booster meeting versus higher risk events where we're going to have some type of competition with more folks and, you know, that kind of thing.
Or fundraising event or something.
Where people have more of a chance to get hurt. I don't know how that all phases into the calculation, to be honest with you. So I think what we could do is kind of try to get that answer, Ms. Scythe, from the insurance company, number one, confirming that these folks aren't covered, and number two, if we wanted to add, but I know if I'm in that position, I would say, well, what are you adding? One time, one group, 5 groups, 12 groups, one day?
I mean, they meet once a month for the whole entire school year, so it would be a yearly school event type thing, just not, 1 or 2.
So Randy, I have a question. Mr. Dawson, I have a question. So are you giving us a copy of a policy that you already have in place?
Yes, we have to have it anyway.
So
yes.
you have to have it anyway.
That's correct.
So you're not encouraging.
Whenever the school asks for it, I had to have, now I'll tell you, I also had, it worked in our advantage also, because whenever I went to the courthouse to apply for our small game of chance license, one of the things that they said okay, you're listed 909 Dust Avenue as your address. That's the school district. Do you own it? No. Do you rent it? No. Well, then how are you affiliated? Because they would not give us our license for the small game of chance until I showed them that we had an agreement from the school district, because I gave the school district our liability policy.
That's helpful.
Yes. So I mean, we did have to have it no matter what anyways. It worked both ways, but just something to bring up that does occur, because we had to increase it due to the fact that we're in this building for coverage.
And I would also say that it's probably fair that the meeting is the example being used, right? But a majority of the people that are having the meeting are also going to have something else, a fundraiser, an event of this. And so then you're going to need it for that. Otherwise, you're talking about ensuring all of those types of events that lead to playing activities, music, so on, more people, more risk. And you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we could look into it, but I think it's a much wider picture than just that, because most of the people aren't just meeting as a group, they're planning another fundraising event, musical event, game, this, that, and
I
In
know
your
that,
particular case, you weren't incurring any additional costs. It was just a matter of providing the updated policy.
Just something, if you're going to look at policies, this is, to make sure that every organization knows that you have to produce this.
Yes.
I had this discussion with Mrs. Smith. She called me and said, do you have to produce this to the school? When she got told about it by Chair. And I said, absolutely. And, both of us back and forth were going, why? Why?
now, there are minimum liability amounts that the school district requires. So if an organization doesn't have those minimum amounts, it could potentially cost that organization more to get those amounts to have it. I think they require $1 million liability. So.
Actually, we increased ours. Ours is
Right.
at 5.
I think something for like booster meetings that is directly benefiting the school district. I think the school district has to look at those. Booster clubs are already incurring enough extra expenses to try to run the programs, since the school district funding isn't as plentiful as it used to be. I would say booster organizations are predominantly running our programs, our varsity sports, our other extracurricular activities, just because the budget has been decreasing over the years. So if we could look at a way for them to at least have their meetings and not have to have so much. Now, if they have an event, I totally understand with events, other people coming into district, outside people coming in for some sort of a fundraiser, then yes, there has to be some sort of a policy. But just to hold a meeting for 5 or 10 people for an hour, even if we designate a room in a high school, this is the booster meeting room, you can sign it out, however, but I do think it's something we should look into.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
While we're looking at the policy, can I ask that when someone rents out the facility, whether it be any of our organizations, that they also receive a copy of the weapons, drug, alcohol, and sex offender policies? Because I don't think everyone knows them. I just thought that might be a nice touch, because not everybody reads them. And if they come, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't know. And I just feel like it would be a nice addition when you rent it. It just goes with
the package.
And the package.
That's not something we need to.
I wrote it
vote,
down.
right?
That's
We
a
can
good
just-
suggestion.
Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, I 100% agree. Is that something that we can,
Oh,
anybody have any, I mean, I'm sure no one has an objection.
I wrote it down. If everybody's good with
Yeah,
it.
once
we
it
can-
goes through, you just make sure you connect it to the packet.
Yep. Perfect. Any other public comments for this evening? All right.
Madam President.
Yes.
I just have one last thing. Dr. Pascarella, I know it's part of your job, but I know you had a rough couple weeks and it was unexpected. But I just wanted to tell you, I think we all appreciate your hard work over the last couple
Absolutely.
weeks to
Great job.
navigate another difficulty. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. All right. No, we're not. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, Mary.
Just run.